The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a low hum, revealing the delegation from Earth. Silence fell over the hall, thousands of alien delegates in their floating platforms pausing their conversations, all turning toward the newcomers. Whispers rustled in dozens of languages, translated instantly by implants. Humanity's first official appearance at the council was already unexpected. No one had anticipated their arrival this cycle. But it wasn't the timing that made the hall fall into hushed tension. It was their eyes. Leading the delegation was Ambassador Sarah Cole, dressed not in extravagant robes like so many other species diplomats, but in a simple navy suit. Her posture was straight, her steps measured, and her face calm. But most startling of all, as she walked down the aisle toward the center dais, she met the gaze of every delegate along the way. To a race like the, who averted eye contact as a symbol of respect, this was shocking. To the, whose traditions were reserved only for family or mortal enemies, this was unthinkable. Yet the humans didn't seem aggressive. Their gazes weren't challenging, they were warm, direct, and steady. Sarah's eyes lingered on each alien face for a breath longer than expected, just long enough to send shivers down spines and stir confused emotions. Behind her, her team of human diplomats followed suit. They too lifted their heads, scanning the room, making direct eye contact. None of them flinched. They smiled, small, respectful, but unmistakably present smiles. The ambassador whispered through scent pulses, "They look at us directly." His Christian companion chimed in telepathically, "It feels intimate. And yet not invasive." Some alien delegates shuffled, adjusting their robes or sensory appendages, unsure whether to look back or avert their eyes. The tension rose, thick and electric, until Sarah reached the center platform. The floating dais rose to meet her, and she stepped onto it with practiced grace. Slowly, deliberately, she lifted her chin and scanned the chamber once more. Her gaze swept across the assembled legions of over 1,000 worlds. Some tried to hold her gaze and failed, breaking into nervous fidgeting or flicking their sensory tendrils in agitation. Others found themselves frozen, inexplicably comforted and unnerved all at once. The council moderator, a being of liquid metallic form with refractive facets, addressed her with careful tone. "Ambassador Cole, Earth's presence at this council is unprecedented. Your entry was not scheduled." Sarah's eyes met the moderator's polished surface, her gaze reflecting in the liquid matter. "We come with respect and openness," she said, her voice gentle but firm. Her eyes never wavered. The chamber murmured again. On the upper tiers, the clacked their mandibles anxiously. The reptilian called tighter in their hovering cradles, their pupils narrowing to slits as they tried to interpret this human custom. Eye contact meant dominance for them. But the humans didn't posture or raise their voices. They simply connected. The translator implants struggled to convey what eyes were saying beyond words. Across the chamber, a young Avani delegate, a soft, feathered species known for shyness, dared to meet Sarah's gaze. Their downy feathers fluffed involuntarily. But instead of fear, they felt seen. Sarah's mouth twitched into the faintest smile, acknowledging the Avani's courage. The young delegate felt pride and confusion in equal measure. Around them, other delegates shifted, their rigid cultural protocols beginning to crumble under something simple and profoundly human. Behind Sarah, the human team sat, each one looking directly at different sections of the audience. The chamber, so used to distance and deflection, was forced to feel the weight of presence. No hologram could replicate it. No protocol could explain it. The moderator cleared its throat, ripples dancing across its metallic form. "Ambassador, humanity's customs are noted." The phrase was diplomatic, yet heavy with meaning. Sarah simply nodded, eyes still steady. "We believe in trust, in transparency, in meeting others without fear," she said softly, but her words carried through the chamber with weight far beyond volume. She turned, meeting the gaze of each quadrant once more. No challenge, no threat, only sincerity. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the atmosphere shifted. Tension gave way to curiosity. Fear softened into intrigue. The council, for the first time in its ancient history, felt the sensation of being seen not through sensors or data projections, but through a living gaze that invited connection. Sarah spoke once more, her voice quieter this time, but every syllable resonated in the West Chamber. We are here not to demand, not to disrupt, but to learn and to be known. She met the moderator's shifting surface once more, then lowered her head in respectful acknowledgement. The chamber erupted, not in chaos, but in murmured abandon. Eye contact, once taboo, now felt like a doorway opening between species. And humanity, with nothing more than steady eyes and quiet presence, had just changed the room forever. The Galactic Council chamber had not calmed since the humans first made their entrance. Across the tiers, translators and diplomats were still exchanging hurried whispers, trying to decode what had just happened. But then the screens above the chamber shimmered to life. The moderator's voice echoed gently through the West Hall. The human delegation requests to present a cultural demonstration. Murmurs of surprise and curiosity rippled through the alien delegates, but before any objections could arise, the massive holographic displays activated. The lights dimmed, and a projection filled the chamber ceiling with breathtaking clarity. The first image showed a human child, small and fragile by galactic standards, kneeling in front of a massive creature. It snarled, jaws powerful enough to crush bone. But the child reached out a hand, locking eyes with the beast. Slowly, the creature's hackles lowered, and it pressed its head gently into the child's palm. Gasps echoed in the chamber. The scene shifted. Now, a woman in a yellow raincoat stood on a rocky coastline, towering waves crashing around her. Lightning crackled overhead. She smiled into the storm, unafraid, arms outstretched. Her defiance wasn't aggression, it was reverence, acknowledgement of nature's chaos and beauty. The room sat silent, mesmerized. Alien delegates who had only ever relied on instinct and genetic caution were now watching a species that stared directly into danger, into power, and responded not with submission or flight, but with awe and trust. The hologram transitioned again. A firefighter, an exhausted, emerged from a collapsed building carrying a tiny kitten in their arms. The animal clung to them, but safe. The firefighter looked directly into the camera, eyes tired yet warm, and smiled. That image froze for a moment, lingering high above the council chamber, as if daring them all to understand. But it wasn't over. The next scene shifted to a group of children playing in a wide open field beneath a gathering thunderstorm. Flashes of lightning illuminated their laughter. No panic, no fear, just abandon. The camera panned slowly across their faces, each one staring directly at the clouds as though inviting the storm to dance with them. From the balcony, the reptilian delegate whispered to its neighbor, "They caught chaos." And it responds. The room filled with hushed awe as the final sequence began. A montage of humans sitting beside animals far larger and more dangerous than themselves. Bears, lions, serpents, creatures that any other race would flee from. Yet the humans sat beside them, made eye contact, extended trust. Not once was there aggression. The message became unmistakably clear. Humans were not reckless, they were connectors. They saw power, wildness, danger, and instead of retreating, they met it with respect, curiosity, and calm. The last image froze across the West display, a human child sleeping on the ground, curled against the side of a massive gorilla. Both were at peace. In that moment, the Galactic Council chamber remained utterly silent. The moderator spoke, its liquid form shimmering. Your species does not merely survive chaos, you partner with it. Sarah Cole stood, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the holograms. Her voice carried easily through the chamber. We have learned to look, to not flinch, to see the soul behind what others fear. We do not control, we coexist. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably, their doctrines challenged by the simplicity of what they'd just witnessed. Eye contact was not dominance, nor defiance, it was understanding. It was the first step toward trust. Even the most aggressive beasts had responded to human presence because humans dared to meet their gaze and show they meant no harm. Above them, the images faded into swirling constellations. And then something unprecedented happened. The Avani delegate, whose feathers had fluffed with nervousness earlier, lifted their gaze and met Sarah's eyes from across the hall. They didn't look away. Slowly, they nodded, and in that small motion, the entire council felt a shift. Another delegate followed, a Christian being with fractal patterns pulsing along its form, tilted its core lens and focused fully on the human gaze. Then another. Van by van, species who had never dared direct acknowledgement met the gaze of the humans seated before them. It was cautious at first, hesitant, but then it became something more. They understood. These beings from Earth carried with them not just courage, but an innate ability to offer trust first. It was a power no weapon could equal. The council chamber began to stir, not with fear, but with collective respect. Sarah lowered her head in acknowledgement, then raised her eyes once more, holding them steady. Around her, her team remained silent, their presence stronger than words. The humans were no longer merely guests in that chamber. They were recognized. The demonstration had spoken volumes without aggression or demand. The council would remember that gaze long after the humans departed. For the first time, many delegates realized that they had been seen, truly seen, and that perhaps they wanted to be. The Galactic Council chamber was no longer the stoic, formal arena it had been when the humans first arrived. Something had shifted in the air. Not fear, not discomfort, but curiosity mixed with a cautious reverence. After their cultural demonstration, the chamber had fallen silent, not in tension but in contemplation. Now, scene 3 began with the humans taking the next bold step. Sarah Cole, still standing confidently at the dais, activated another holographic display with a subtle gesture. Instead of a grand spectacle this time, the hologram filled with personal footage. It began in a small kitchen somewhere on Earth, a grandmother stirring soup, her grandchild beside her, both looking directly into the lens with warm smiles. "We welcome those who visit," Sarah's voice narrated. The simple movement faded into another. Two hikers on a mountaintop, making eye contact with the camera, their breath visible in the cold air, then turning to point out the horizon as though inviting the viewer to join them. The council chamber shifted from awe to fascination. This wasn't spectacle, this was invitation. The footage transitioned to a street musician playing violin in a crowded plaza. Strangers sat near him, each taking a turn making eye contact with the camera, smiling softly, offering small gestures of camaraderie. The universal message was becoming clear. Humans reached out with their eyes before their hands, asking permission, showing kindness, seeking connection. Then the images shifted again, this time to moments of fear and tension. A paramedic working frantically to save a stranger's life. She looked directly into the lens for a fleeting moment, her face covered in sweat and determination. That moment of contact said, "Stay with me. I will not let go." As the footage continued, alien delegates leaned forward. The Christian being from the Prism Collective blinked its photonic eyes in rhythmic patterns, their species' way of expressing Vanden. Beside them, a massive delegate, covered in armor plates, gently tacked its claws against its chest, a gesture of respect rarely shown. The next scene brought a wave of stunned silence. Footage from Earth's space station, where an astronaut stared into the lens, Earth spinning slowly behind him. He reached out, fingers splayed, and whispered, "We are here." His eyes shone with the weight of distance and hope. The silence in the council hall was thick with emotion. Sarah stepped down from the dais, walking slowly toward the center of the room. She spoke calmly, her voice amplified just enough to carry. "We are not predators, though we have learned to fight. We are not prey, though we have known fear. We are observers and connectors. Our instinct is to look, to meet another's gaze and ask, 'Are you with me?'" She stopped, her eyes sweeping across the tiers of alien delegates. "When we look into your eyes, we are not challenging you. We are inviting you to trust. The chamber pulsed with soft, ambient light, shifting in gentle waves. The moderator, whose liquid form shimmered with reflected constellations, spoke softly. You risk much by meeting the gaze of species you do not understand. Sarah nodded. Risk is the birthplace of trust. Another screen flickered to life, showing moments from Earth's history. Reconciliation ceremonies after conflict, leaders shaking hands and locking eyes, gestures of forgiveness sealed not with words but with shared, steady gazes. Children offering toys to strangers, soldiers offering rations to enemy captives. Always the same, eye contact first, kindness second. Then, without any prompting, the Avani delegate rose slowly, lifting their wings in acknowledgement. They turned toward the human dais, meeting Sarah's gaze. Instead of their usual display of avoidance, they maintained eye contact for a full minute, long in galactic terms. A murmur of approval echoed throughout the chamber. Following the Avani's lead, the, known for their stern demeanor and emotional distance, inclined their Christian heads and locked lenses on Sarah as well. Slowly, a ripple spread through the hall. One by one, delegates of various species made deliberate eye contact with the human delegation. And then, something unexpected happened. The chamber's massive central display flickered to life without human prompting, showing a new constellation map. At the heart of the network, Earth. Pulses of soft light radiated outward, connecting previously unconnected species through thin, golden threads. The implication was clear. Humanity's presence was already forging new bonds. Across the tiers, beings that had long feared vulnerability now sat exposed yet willing. Sarah looked up at the star map and then back to the assembly. We came here not to impress, she said softly, but to see you. Truly see you. And we hope you will see us. The hall erupted into a sound that transcended languages, a deep resonance of approval, acknowledgement, and respect. Beings that had never made eye contact outside their species now did so freely, inspired by the human's quiet strength. In that moment, the council chamber became not just a political arena but a place of genuine connection. And at its heart, the humans sat, not as conquerors, not as enigmas, but as equals. The Grand Galactic Council chamber was quieter than it had ever been, but it wasn't silence from fear or uncertainty. It was anticipation. The moment had arrived, and everyone present could feel the weight of history settling in around them. The final scene began as the great Christian arch overhead shimmered and parted, revealing the council's ceremonial platform rising slowly from the floor. Every delegate turned toward the center, where Ambassador Sarah Cole stood, flanked by two other human representatives, their faces solemn but steady. Floating before them was the council symbol, a perfect sphere of light that represented unity, trust, and the willingness to coexist. The sphere began to rotate slowly, and then, in a moment of profound gravity, it shifted colors, taking on soft, warm gold tones laced with threads of pale blue, the ceremonial signal that a new member was about to be confirmed. The moderator, whose flowing form rippled with refracted light, addressed the hall. Today, we recognize a species that has looked into the eyes of the unknown and dared not to fear. They have answered hostility with compassion, curiosity with respect, and challenge with humility. Humanity, step forward. Sarah took a single step, her gaze unwavering. The sphere hovered closer, casting a gentle radiance over her face. Slowly, her hand extended, palm open and steady, and the sphere pulsed softly in response, almost as if it understood the importance of what was happening. Then the chamber ceiling came alive, displaying a magnificent cosmic map of the galaxy. For the first time in recorded history, Earth's coordinates glowed in gold at the center, and hundreds of thin silver lines extended outward, not just connecting to other worlds but weaving them together. The entire assembly stood. Some alien species lifted their wings or tendrils in ancient gestures of respect, others knelt or vibrated their collars in solemn patterns. The warlords lowered their armored heads, and the aquatic extended glowing filaments in blessing. Even the who had never acknowledged another race with anything more than a curt nod, bowed deeply. It was a moment of collective reverence for something no one had expected, not power, not domination, but sincerity and connection. Behind Sarah, a giant banner unfurled, shimmering into existence via sophisticated projection, the symbol of Earth, an open human hand, palm up, reaching toward a field of stars. Beneath the image, the words appeared in hundreds of alien scripts, "We see you." The hall was hushed, save for the soft hum of energy that seemed to vibrate through the floor and walls, a subtle reminder that the galaxy itself was listening. Then, quietly, something almost mystical occurred. Van by van, the delegates stepped forward. The Avani representative extended a wingtip and gently touched the sphere beside Sarah's hand. The prism collective focused a beam of light, merging with the sphere's glow. The rippled soft vibrations into the atmosphere. Each species added their own mark of trust and unity until the sphere became a living mosaic of their collective hopes. As the last delegate stepped back, the moderator's voice filled the chamber again, softer now but filled with certainty. From this moment forward, Earth stands among us, not as a power to fear, but as a heart that beats with ours. Humans are here, and they make eye contact. A wave of warm laughter, relief, and applause spread across the chamber, some gestures of joy alien and unfamiliar, but all genuine. Sarah lowered her hand, and the sphere gently floated above her head before dissolving into thousands of points of golden light, each tiny particle settling momentarily on the shoulders of every delegate. It felt like a benediction, a subtle promise from the universe itself. In the gallery, reporters from across galaxies broadcast the scene live, carried the images of human children watching from home, eyes wide with wonder. On Earth, entire cities erupted into celebration, fireworks over oceans, gatherings in parks and plazas, cheers in every known language. But here, in this sacred hall of diplomacy and trust, it was a quiet, steady acknowledgement. Humanity had not only arrived, but they had been seen, accepted, and trusted. The final moment came when the council floor dimmed, and the West Star map overhead shifted once more, showing Earth's golden beacon pulsing in rhythm with the heartbeats of every delegate present. The message was clear. The galaxy was no longer a fragmented collection of distant worlds. It was, from this day forward, a community. And at its center was a small blue planet that dared to look into the unknown and smile.